Kevin Hunter with Amy Nelson here on the Business Forum Show, and we're chatting with John Hoadley and Lance Glawe here with the American Heart Clinic. And you're commenting during the break what it costs to get this done. So what's the cost of the screening?
Actually, to get the screening done, it's about getting people in front of us and actually giving them the opportunity to get it done. Mm-hmm. And if it's expensive, they're not going to get it done. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we charge $50 for doing a screening. Mm-hmm. And we work with chiropractors, naturopathic doctors. We work with the gyms, different organizations. We can come into your business and we can actually give discounts for doing businesses and everything like that too, mm-hmm. because we want to show them not only what their heart screening is, but actually how to relieve stress, mm-hmm. how to change stress, in their work environment and their home environment, and because that is one of the bigger factors. Mm-hmm. And so I was mentioning earlier that when you're concerned about your health, say your dad died at 36 years old and of a heart attack, and you're nearing that 36-year-old mark, you're concerned about that, mm-hmm. and that's a stress in itself.
Sure.
And so we've run into people, and they come up to us and they just thank us because either we've relieved that concern, their arteries are good, they're not as stressed out as their dad was or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so now they can go on with their existence. That's great.
Mm-hmm. So you said it was $50 for a screening. I'm just curious, why would you ever discount that for anybody? I'm going to, if somebody doesn't want to spend $50 to get a heart screening done, well, good luck.
Right.
But I think it's fabulous that you're doing what you're doing and the price is as reasonable as it. I thought you would have said $500 or mm-hmm, something of that nature. Wasn't that your thought, Amy?
Yes, for sure.
Right, and there's other companies out there like Lifeline Screening that they do checks with your carotid arteries. They check and see how bad your carotid arteries are and the main arteries in your body. We don't do that type of screening. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a different screening that actually shows for your whole body mm-hmm. as to how your arteries, the hardness of your arteries are. Mm-hmm. So they both have their own purposes. If you do see something on a simple test like this, I mean, the screening is very easy to do. It takes about 3 minutes to actually do the screening. Mm-hmm. And so when we set up our appointments, it's normally about half an hour per person that we're talking to them mm-hmm. For about half an hour. Once we get them in there, they do the screening. Then we talk to them about everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. Do they have cardiovascular disease in their family, or why are they coming in to get this screening done? Mm-hmm. So then once we find out, it's like, well, we have high blood pressure, we have high cholesterol. Then, of course, we try and help them with what they might do naturally to help with that.
Mm-hmm. There's something you wanted to say on this subject, Lance.
Well, the thing I wanted to say is most times you go into your doctor, they are not going to perform any of these tests until you have a heart attack or a stroke. Mm-hmm. And if you're still alive, they will perform the test and let you know. And not to mention the cost. The cost is usually thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And this is just it's a lot easier way to do it, more preventative.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting because a number of years ago, this is probably like maybe 15, 16 years ago, I had some chest pain, so I went to the doc to go find out why. I can tell you the end of the story. It turned out I had a rib out of place, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. And they had no way of being able to tell. I thought it was interesting that a chiropractor could figure it out, but a MD couldn't. So instead of them saying, well, hey, you just got a rib out of place and you need this fixed, or get it adjusted back into place, well, they ran me through all these tests and a stress test. And in fact, there's like 5 stages in these, or up to 5 stages in these stress tests that they'll do with you at the hospital. And I was in really great shape. So after I got like midway through the 3rd phase of this thing, the doc tells me, says, well, this is new territory for us because we've not had anybody run on this treadmill through phase 3. And then phase 4 came and phase 5 came and I ran them. So I ran all the phases and he says, well, there's definitely not anything wrong with your heart. But that was, as you said, thousands of dollars later, figured out that it wasn't a heart problem. And I was actually in Michigan at the time, made a trip to Minnesota here, and my brother has a company called Natural Alternatives, and they have chiropractic and all these things in their office. And he's not a chiropractor himself, but he's very familiar with body structure and all that. And he says, where has it been hurting? And I explained, and he goes, you can tell me where the pain is at? And I said, yeah. He goes, you can produce the pain? I said, yeah. I was just like, he goes, Kevin, that's not a heart problem. He goes, get on the table and like crunch. How's that feel? Can you make the pain happen? No. He goes, well, you had a rib out of place. And I'm going, well, that's amazing that I had to travel from, and I spent thousands of dollars at the doc's office, and they never figured out what was wrong with me.
Yeah, I've gone to the doctor myself many times over. One of the things, I've done probably 2 or 3 stress tests in my life. And I thought I was having a heart attack, and it was mainly caused by stress, but the stress was causing acid reflux. The acid reflux was pushing on my heart. I was getting off rhythm. And so my heart rate went down to 42 beats a minute. They took me in the ambulance from the clinic to the hospital. They wouldn't release me. And, it's like, I shouldn't be having a heart attack. I've got clean arteries. And so basically going through a lot more testing and everything else, they're like, no, it's a transient condition. It'll go away. Hopefully, one way or another, it's going to go away. And so after that, it's like, you know what? I have to figure this out myself. And so changing everything, getting rid of the acid reflux was number one. And then I didn't have the heart palpitations. I didn't have the off rhythms and the artifact beats. And so it was a concern of mine, even though I didn't have clogging of the arteries. When my friend died, it was a wake-up call. And lots of times we need these wake-up calls to motivate ourselves to do something. But being able to take that information and bring it out to everyone else out there and show them this is preventable. Actually, the CDC talks about, and I want to read this, it says, according to the CDC, heart disease and stroke are among the most widespread and costly problems facing our nation today, even though they are also among the most preventable. Heart disease and stroke are the leading causes of death for both women and men, which we were talking about, and they are also the major causes of illness and disability, and are estimated to cost the nation hundreds of billions of dollars annually in healthcare expenditures and lost productivity.
It's absolutely amazing.
Right, and because it is preventable, it's all about changing the way we treat our bodies. Let's get in. Sometimes it is chiropractic. Sometimes it's diet. Sometimes it's exercise. Lots of times it's all of it together. And supplementation, when there's supplementation out there that actually will help clean your arteries out and make them more elastic, especially if you are genetically predisposed to having hard arteries, you want to take something that's actually going to clean your arteries out and make them more elastic.
Now, Lance, I got a question for you. We were talking a little bit because you guys have identified some products and processes that can help if somebody is dealing with a situation where they have clogging arteries. So talk about that a little bit. Beyond the screening, what's the next phase for you guys?
Well, actually, in 1998, there's a Dr. Louis Ignarro. Him and 2 of his colleagues actually won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in that year for their discovery of nitric oxide in the cardiovascular system.
Sure.
And the interesting thing about the Nobel Prize for Medicine is it's given away one time a year for the greatest single medical discovery in the entire world. And in 1998, it was nitric oxide. And he has a book called No More Heart Disease. He actually lays out not only how to prevent it, but actually how to reverse it. And that's kind of what we go on. It's a basic amino acid called L-arginine, and then it creates in our body nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, there's a lot of talk of antioxidants. There's the noni juices and the acai berries and all these things that are antioxidants in our body. Well, nitric oxide is actually 1,000 times more powerful than any other antioxidant in our body. Because of that, it's the only one that's powerful enough to actually disintegrate plaque off from our arteries.
Wow.
And so that's the one that usually we recommend. And like I say, people can do their own research. I ordered the book online for like $8 or $9 from Amazon. It's No More Heart Disease. And that is the first step in preventing heart disease and strokes.
Well, you know what? A lot of information here, guys. If you're on our listening audience and you'd like to get a heart screening done, you can find them on the web at AmericanHeartClinic.com. Again, that website, AmericanHeartClinic.com. You can also call the office at 763-213-210. This has the wrong number on it. 763-210-8171. Again, 763-210-8171. Kevin Hunter with Amy Nelson in studio, and we've been visiting with John Hoadley and Lance Glawe from American Heart Clinic. Thanks for listening.